enjoying it. So you never know. It depends on what you're used to and what you consider good. So remember what I was talking about yesterday about happiness, right? For some of us, some people, rain is just a big bummer, and other people, rain is a delight because it's something that we don't get very often. So it's really, once again, your happiness is in your perspective. Hey, Joao. Good to see everyone. All right. So these videos are going to be changing up soon, but today I wanted to finish up one that I promised you. Hey, Naruto. How are you? Thank you for the kisses. I'm going to finish up one I promised you from a few days ago because I got involved in doing a few other ones, so I didn't go back and finish one. Hey, Suleiman. And and this is about understanding, thank you. It's about understanding the God, right? So I told you that I was going to give you, oh no, I forgot to change something in my captions, setup, title. I don't know if this will change it all right away down here. Let's see. All right. Let's update all. Let's see if it'll update in the middle of the thing. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. How are you, Sullivan? Good. I'm doing well. It's a great day today. And I'm going to dig into something really quickly here. So ask questions. If you have any questions, please ask me. I love it. I love it when you ask questions and you communicate. All right. So in a previous one, I was explaining how you can prove that God exists through logic. And I don't mean a religion. I mean just the creator or an entity that is a creative being, right? So that was what we were talking about. Because I am conscious, right? I'm conscious. I'm aware of something. That means something must exist. Okay? I'm good too, sweetheart. Oh, good to see you. I'm very happy to hear that. So remember, we were talking about consciousness. It begins there. This is the key to understanding this logic, okay? So consciousness is the first thing that we can know. There are many things we cannot know, right? Like, for instance, that looks green, but it's not really green, right? That's just a factor of light bouncing off of it in a certain way, right? But I can know that I'm aware of something. So I begin there. That's the beginning. I'm conscious. So if I'm conscious, something exists. If something exists, that means that either it always existed or it created itself. Self-creation means that something had to exist before it existed. This is a logical impossibility, so we can wipe that one out. The other one that's left is only self-existence. It means something has always existed, right? That's hard for our time-bound minds to understand, but it is not a logical impossibility. So we're going to go with that one, okay? Hey, Bruma. Hey, Danta. Okay, so that is one thing we can know about this entity that we call God, right? That something had to exist, whatever it was, something always existed, and that thing that always existed is the thing that pushed it and made something happen, that made something happen, that made something happen, that created this, okay? Right, Suleiman says, right, yes. So that's where we start, right? Now, what's one more thing that we can actually know or prove through logic that we can know about God or about this entity? I mean, it's hard for me to, like, this creative force, I guess you could call it, right? Because that's really what it is, right? There had to be some force that started it all, that started something, this creative force. So what's one more thing we can know about it? That is that this goes into a whole other field, and it's the nature of consciousness. What is the nature of consciousness, okay? Conscious being, that nature of consciousness is, there's lots of people out there studying it, so I encourage you to go and look. Go and read the studies and tell me what is the nature of consciousness. Because there are people who've been studying it for years trying to figure it out. You know why? Because consciousness does not reside in our brain like we think. Our brain is just a computer. And that's kind of the cool thing. Our brain is a computer that processes information. So all the information in this reality, our computer just processes it. But it's not the conscious being. The consciousness is the observer that sees all that processing, right? So for instance, it's kind of like we're living in a vast computer game. Okay. Or if you're playing on a computer game on your computer, right? When you're playing the computer game, it looks like there's a whole world and your characters in the computer game, your little avatar, it's going around doing this and doing that, right? It's kicking people, it's punching people, it's shooting people, it's doing whatever it's doing, right? In that computer game. But you're the observer watching it, right? Maybe you're even controlling it on your computer. There's all kinds of stuff happening, right? That the computer is processing. That's like the processing power of your brain that's happening that produces this experience, right? It produces the experience of the whole game that's being played. But I myself am not in the computer. I'm observing that happening, right? I'm the observer. That's the consciousness, the conscious being. It's observing it, right? And the computer is like your brain. It's making all of this stuff happen, right? It's all these different computer programs and structures, and you know how you get programmed by your parents and by society and all of that. All those programs reside in your brain, just like a computer. But I am the observer. The conscious being is not my body, right? It exists outside of it. It's the consciousness. When you get really quiet and you observe your thoughts and you watch those thoughts come up, who is that being? Who is the being that is observing the thoughts, right? Your brain is creating the thoughts. Who is the being that observes them? That is your consciousness. So once we understand that, then we can understand something else about the nature of God. Because something that is unconscious cannot create consciousness. Only consciousness can create consciousness. Only a conscious, aware being can create conscious awareness and conscious aware beings, because the nature of those things is totally different, right? It's very similar to how only life can create life. Only something that is alive, has been alive, can create something that is alive, right? Scientists have been trying for a very long time to do it another way, but only something that has life or was alive can create life. So understand that. The same thing with consciousness. Only another conscious being can create consciousness. So that's one more thing that we can know about the creative force, that it's conscious. And we can prove that with logic, not through some book and not through some source and not through some guru and not through some teacher or leader or whatever else, but by following the breadcrumbs carefully, we can prove that the creative force, the creator, that initial force, right, that self-existent entity is also conscious. So that's one more thing we can know about the nature of God through logic. And that's kind of cool, isn't it? Okay, you guys have an amazing day, and thank you for coming on and chatting with me. Thank you, Suleiman, for coming on and chatting. Hey, Alyssa, come back and ask some questions. Join in. It'll be fun. And we're going to switch this up coming up in the future. I'm going to change how these are going. And I'm going to be asking you more questions so that you can get in and go find information and help me. Okay? Yeah, cool, Suleiman says. Good. Yes. All right. Okay. You guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.